with long hair kind of believe, like, and I used to believe these for a long time. Some people think that if you start growing your hair to like a super long length where maybe your ends start to become a bit more tapered, or where you're not trimming off like many inches, that your hair isn't as healthy. But that's really not true, because actually your hair is pretty healthy if it can grow. And this is one thing I kind of learned myself. Like when I was younger, I did have up to tailbone length hair, but it was never, I didn't realize my hair was thick until after I cut it when I was in my early 20s, because I didn't use protective styling. Okay, this is why I always tell guys that think women frolic in fields like with their hair loose in the sunlight, and that's realistic. But that's not realistic, because when I was younger, I had what was considered really long hair to most people. I mean, my mom didn't have super long hair. She had like back length hair. But I thought that was really super long at the time, because, you know, nobody really had long hair. And then I never could like really grow it past tailbone length, and I thought at that time, oh, that just must be how long my hair is gonna grow. And I didn't want to trim it too much, but I really didn't at the time know how to really take care of my hair, because honestly, a lot of people just don't know about what it takes. You need to treat your hair well. Like, people say it's only hair, and they do a lot of damaging things to their hair. Like, you know, I'm never going to be an advocate of bleaching your hair. I'm sorry, I'm not in that camp. Or damaging their hair to like create all these looks, or just being part of the crowd that thinks you have to constantly change your hair. Like, a lot of people, even when I was younger, they used to get mad at me because I stick with like protective styling. Well, not even as protective back then, because I would do like just a ponytail or a half up that was loose. So we would go hiking a lot in the mountains, and I remember one time my hair was loose, okay, and it got stuck. Like, so I'm telling you from experience, this was my experience. When I say you can't wear your hair loose if you want it to be thick and healthy and grow long, this is true, okay? Like, if you're experiencing a lot of breakage, it's because you're wearing your hair loose. It doesn't matter what length it's at. I'm not saying you have to put your hair in a bun, but you probably need to braid it more, okay? Because if your hair is loose and you're like going, like walking through the countryside, or growing up like in a mountain where your hair is getting stuck in different objects. Actually, now that I have long hair, it never gets stuck in objects. Like, people are always like, my hair gets stuck in doors and seatbelts. I don't have that problem. Not anymore. When I was younger and I wore my hair loose, yes, I had that problem. But ever since, through my own education and self-awareness, which just took like a long time to figure out on my own, you have to like either have your hair in a bun. And if you don't want to wear it in a bun, because honestly that gives me a headache sometimes, you wear it in a braid, and you need to pull it in front of you. You need to be aware of where your hair is at all times. You can't just have it like loose. And I no longer am like thinking, oh, those loose styles are so beautiful. Like, maybe for photographic purposes, but in everyday life, you can't just walk around with your hair loose like that. It's just not realistic. You're gonna get tangles, you're gonna get breakage, you're gonna get all sorts of havoc that's going to break off your hair. But here's another mythology, that super long hair is not healthy. So when I started growing my hair long again, I was keeping it in a braid, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, I have to trim lots and lots of my hair. And you know, my hair is always growing fast, but sometimes you go through cycles where you notice your hair is kind of growing really fast. And I'm not saying that my hair is growing as fast as it once was, but I would say like 7 years ago, my hair was growing rapidly fast, and I would cut off a lot of inches here and there. And I don't think people believe me, because even then my hair was like down to here, like maybe bra strap length. For most people, that's really long hair, so they didn't believe me that I was trimming my hair all the time. Because most people think, oh wow, it takes forever for your hair to grow that long. But yeah, so I felt like, oh my gosh, you have to have like this really straight hemline hair. And I do think like a well-maintained hemline looks beautiful, but I don't think that means your hair is healthy. I think it's an aesthetic, okay? It's an aesthetic that people think if they cut their hemline really, really straight, okay, that it looks healthier. But that doesn't mean your hair is healthier, because anybody can cut their hair really, really straight hemline, But hair health's based on if your hair is growing and you're maintaining your hair. So there's nothing like, I know some people think, oh my gosh, like once they get past classic length, it's gonna be harder to maintain a certain kind of hemline. Like some people, they can maintain a perfect hemline to floor, but a lot of people can't. And I think that's where people just don't understand, but I started to get to understand what they mean, like with people with super long hair. As I grew my hair longer, I'm like, even if you take really good care of your hair, it's never gonna be as thick at the bottom as it is at the top. So it does, like when I hear like, okay, people can believe whatever they want on social media, but once again, I feel like there's this mythology or just like a preference. It's not a mythology, it's a preference that's being perpetuated that women who have like waist length hair or tailbone length hair, but they have a really straight hemline, like people are saying, oh, their hair looks healthier, but it's not that. You just like that aesthetic better. And there's a lot of aesthetics within the long hair community, and I'm not going to generalize or stereotype, but it just seems like all of a sudden that's become the aesthetic, because a couple of people did a video where they would say, oh, I like that aesthetic, and then more people did, and maybe that's all their opinion, and everybody can have an opinion about, because I used to think when my hair was at that length, like I was like, oh wow, it's super amazing. But you know what, now that my hair, I'm just going to show you for visual purposes, now that I've stopped trimming my hair and it's even longer than my dress down to my calves, I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of amazed with that. Like, maybe we need to stop obsessing about like how straight the hemline is. Like, you can do that if you want, and I am thinking about trimming my hair again, but then I start to think like, who is it that makes these rules up? Did Victorian women even wear their hair down? A lot of them didn't have like a straight hemline and all this like hemline obsession. That doesn't what makes your hair healthier. It's like liking a certain aesthetic. So yeah, I just like, I'll see people post things like that. And like another thing too, like I feel like, I don't really share my opinion a lot anymore or comment on other women's long hair channels, because I did a few times. And I don't know. Once again, I don't have a lot of women that will come back to my channel and comment. They don't have to like my content, but I don't know, like I try to be encouraging of some other women and like comment on their channel. But yeah, they wouldn't comment back, and I don't expect them to, but you kind of see like there are women that kind of form these bonds, and but I feel like some ways social media like reflects real life. Like I feel like in general, like I do have female friends, but in general, like I just feel like it's kind of easier to get along with men. Like I feel like they're not, I mean there are nice women out there, but I just feel like in general men are a little bit more accepting, because I feel like if you, it's just hard to say. I just don't feel like that same camaraderie with women on social media that other women feel towards each other. So like sometimes my sister would say to me, she'd be like, oh my gosh, you need to make your channel more of a hair tutorial channel, because women will follow you and they'll want to like see how you do your hair. And I've tried to explain to her, and I've looked at my demographics, and I just see I'm not that kind of channel. First off, I don't do a lot of hair tutorials, so I do a lot of chat and just showing long hair, and I know what my channel is. And I think, and originally, like I don't have anything against the long hair community. I think that's great that there's women that support each other. But I'll tell you why I originally said that I didn't feel like I was part of that community. It hasn't really changed. It would be because you would look at a forum and there would be women that were talking, or just talking about how they were married and they're in a relationship, and they're like chastising women who post videos on social media that are not tutorials, but they're showing off their hair and how brazen that is. And then I saw another forum where the woman said, well, I think it's immodest to wear your hair loose. Like, look, I don't wear my hair loose most of the time because I want to protect it, but she was saying basically if people went on social media and showed their hair, that those kind of videos aren't good. And it just kind of turned me off. And I guess some people don't, like, they're okay with that. It's all somebody's opinion. But just when people, yeah, I just never felt like mega support. Like, I'll tell you, like, right now, like, I didn't have a lot of long hair women. Like, Saxon, she comes to my channel, but there aren't, like, a lot of long hair women that come on my channel, and they don't, I know who my content, like, appeals to. And I do another channel where I do art and I do crafts and I've done things like that, and talks, book talks. So it's, and I do have a few more women on that channel, but on this channel I just have more of a male audience. And maybe it's just because I'm honest. Like, the people that are watching long hair videos, even if you're making it to, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know, like, people who make purely tutorial videos, they probably, I mean, I think most of them know, but maybe they don't acknowledge, is that you're gonna have a lot of men who are watching the videos. So even if you just make a tutorial hair channel, it's gonna be more men than women that are watching. Even if more of your commenters are women, you're gonna have a lot of men. That's just how it is. But yeah, I don't expect anybody to support me or to be, like, part of a community, but I never felt like that warms. So I have nothing against long hair women or anything. I think they're all cool. But yeah, you just kind of, I saw right away, I'm like, yeah, I don't fit in with this group, do I? Like, I don't know. And it would be like every time I was doing something, like, I'd notice that's good that people do their own thing, okay? It really is. Because I'm kind of a person that does my own thing, but I could tell right away, yeah, I'm not part of this group, and I don't expect to be. But yeah, you know, it's just, and I kind of have a bigger channel now. I don't know if people notice that. Like, I have a lot of subscribers, but yeah, I'm not complaining. It's just what it is. Like, unless you do a really strictly tutorial channel, people aren't gonna comment on your content, and that's okay. But I do have some videos that are tutorial, and I do a lot of artistic stuff, and maybe it just doesn't appeal to people. But yeah, so I kind of realized recently I don't want to comment on too many people's channels anymore. Once again, that's why I kind of just go quiet on my Western front. That's what I call it. I just don't say things on other people's channels or reach out to other people, because I'm like, the few times I did it, I don't really feel like I had, like, a really warm reception. And I think I was nice and genuine in what I said. But, like, yeah, my opinion, yeah, it kind of is modeling real life too. I'm not somebody who, like, has friends with large groups of women. I'm more of an introvert, and I feel like men are kind of easier to talk to. I feel like you don't, like, if I'm talking to men, I don't feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's this, because even though I dress feminine, I kind of like history, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but I like certain topics that maybe, I know there's women who like history too, but I'm, like, interested in World War II history and things, like, I don't know, or women, like, some women are, but in general, yeah, I just, maybe I have different interests. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I just don't feel like women, like, I've never felt like I get a lot of female camaraderie, like, in general, online or offline. I just feel like sometimes it's easier to talk to men, and I have been honest, and it's not exactly, like, even a YouTube thing, but just, yeah, I just sometimes don't like how women aren't supportive of other women, and maybe that turns people off when you say that, but it's kind of true. Like, if you see something, like, on a forum where people are saying that, oh no, like, some women are not as good as other women because they have a channel where they show long hair, when we know that, yes, men watch long hair, and then people, and then I got kind of bothered because they would call the men who like the long hair creepers, and just, like, and if they're not leaving creepy comments, like, it just seemed kind of mean and malicious in a way, because, you know, you're posting something online, and I'm not saying, like, oh, I told you so, but once you put something public, it's kind of for public consumption. So if people see it, I don't know why you're mad that, like, people who like long hair are looking for it. Whereas there's, like, a lot of long hair guys tend to be much more kind and respectful, in my experience, than, like, if you're on a general forum with a woman, like, that posts, like, booty pics and things like that, things that show off a lot of the body, and I'm not offended by any of that. You're gonna see a lot more comments that are, I don't know. I just feel like, oh my goodness, if you think like a woman flaunting her hair, maybe you just don't like that. Maybe it's not your thing, but I don't think that makes the women immodest or the people bad. Maybe people have their own preferences. Maybe it's because in real life men are attracted. I know people aren't supposed to say, that's another thing too. I do speak the truth about things, and some people don't like that. A lot of men will get dinged if they say that they are attracted to a certain kind of woman. But it's okay for women to say what they like about men. Like, there's this double standard that's kind of starting. And people should be honest about who they're attracted to, because what, do you want to end up being married to someone who isn't attracted to who you are as a person? Like, it's not just physical stuff, okay? Physical stuff is not all of it. But there's a lot of people that end up getting divorced because, I don't know, like, they're in marriages where the people say, oh, I really want to be with this kind of person, because somebody wasn't honest. Like, people aren't honest. Like, so if a guy likes long hair, who is he hurting? He's not. So I think, I don't know. It's because I have opinions that I think, so I kind of realized that over the long run, I'm never going to be part of that club or just like dynamic where women all kind of. So I liked what my sister said. She thought, oh, I could do more of a tutorial channel, but here's the thing. I've never been I had tutorials on my other YouTube channel for like cooking and art, and that's where I kind of did some tutorial stuff. In hair, I don't think, I just don't get that response from women, like in general. So, but I'll keep sharing my experiences. I just know that that's not the kind of channel I run. And I'm actually okay with the kind of channel I run. Like, I know some people said in the past, oh, you have a mostly male audience. You know what? Thank you. I'm glad you watch. I appreciate you. I don't have a problem with you liking long hair. I don't want to discourage you. Like, you're fine. You can have whatever preference you want, and I will never malign you for that. You know? If somebody has long hair and they're like offended that somebody likes long hair, then why are you posting? But at the end of the day, I don't really talk about it. And once again, like, I just decided I'm never going to share my experiences with long hair in other people's channels, because if I do, I just would never get a comment back, or people, they never like really checked out my social media. So I kind of knew that. Like, I know I'm on Instagram. Do I have a lot of female followers on Instagram? No, I don't. And I don't need to change myself, because I'm like, I'm happy with who I am. If I kind of see, like, because I've been my authentic self, I see how that just kind of models real life. I don't have, like, I have a few female friends, but it's just easier to talk to men. Like, I don't know, like the one guy friend I have, like when I talk to him, he's not always talking about like what other women do. And some women do that. Like, I know women say they support each other, but how come I'm always hearing other women talk about how one woman did that and she didn't do something correctly, and just kind of, it just would feel catty. And I'm not saying people do that on YouTube, but I just feel like, in general, I never feel part of that female community, and I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. It's okay to be a lone wolf, like Saxon and she put it right. And I just appreciate all the people who kind of do their own thing on the YouTube. So a lot of long hair channels are not tutorial channels. I have shared, like I did a couple of videos where I shared how I did my hair. And maybe my channel is a long hair entertainment channel, okay? It's for fun, conversation, and entertainment. There might be some tips included, but I don't pretend to be something I'm not, That's all. So yes, that's my take on. So once again, I don't think I'm going to comment on long hair channels or in general, because I don't ever feel like, I don't, like, whenever I would leave my comment, I don't feel like I'm somebody that they would respond to, and you would leave a genuine comment, and I know that I'm a nice person, but people just don't resonate with me. Like, I haven't found a lot of female camaraderie in the long hair community. I know, like, some people, they find a lot of camaraderie there, but I'm just sharing with you, there is a blind spot in that community where a lot of women don't feel welcome. And I kind of thought, Okay, I made a video about that a year ago. Was I wrong? Like, I kind of thought at the time, I'm like, did I judge the community too hard? Like, was I wrong? Like, did I judge them too hard? And I realized I didn't, because look, there's drama in every community, right? But there are some people that left the long hair community that were big people in it. Like, I read a forum, by the way, where there was some stuff that was not super welcoming, like people that were kind of iconic on it, and they left. And maybe there's a reason people leave those communities, and they're not really part of them because, is it always welcoming? That's why I don't think communities are the best thing to form. Like, I know some people really want to be part of a community. I say it's good to have a few neighbors that you're close to, not be part of a community, because, I don't know, it's just too big. It just feels like too voluminous. I kind of like things to be a little bit quieter, my opinion. So, yeah, I don't. So when my sister asked, like, why don't you make a tutorial style channel for girls? And I'm like, because I don't know, there's not like a lot of women who follow me, and like I look at my demographics, and I'm honest, I'm transparent. Who watches my channel? Oh, it's 89% men and 11% women. So there aren't, I mean, there's a few women that watch, apparently, but I don't get all those comments like, but it's because mostly, the primary reason is I'm not a tutorial channel, like. But even when I try to do more of a tutorial type video, that's not really like, my thing about long hair is, I just like to share my experiences and have a conversation with you. Okay, let's have some interesting conversation in this live stream, because you know what? As I unbraid my hair and restyle it, I want to share with you something new I learned. Like, because yes, I love to research and I love to learn things. Did you know they're testing the Delta variant of COVID in wastewater? This is a new thing, and I read that in an article. I was like, what? So yeah, they're trying to trace where COVID is like starting in different communities. And then I found out there's this whole industry, like this whole new burgeoning industry for testing like different variants of COVID in wastewater. So fascinating, kind of gross. I mean, not for a scientist, but just like, yeah. So I know when people flush the toilet or just like turn off the tap, like they don't think much about it, but all that wastewater, major cities, like they're testing it now to see like where are COVID outbreaks starting, and it's just like, I thought that was so fascinating. I'm like, I don't know. So never stop being curious about the world. That's another thing I was gonna say, because yeah, I always am looking at new things, and I'm like, I always want to learn more things. And then I also learned, I'm like, why are they calling the COVID variants like Delta and Alpha? There's a reason, because they said they didn't want to stigmatize where the variants came from, so now they're giving them Greek letters. I thought that was pretty fascinating. So never stop being curious about the world. You don't need a college degree or to still be in high school to like research things on your own. Like, I learned more, honestly, just by reading, by being curious. Like when I wanted to learn about something, it takes you on a voyage somewhere. Like you read about one thing and then it makes you curious and you're so thirsty for that and you seek out more information about it. And I'm like, yeah. So my mom has been so worried about this Delta thing, and I mean, I have some thoughts about it, but yeah, what it looks like, without getting into the political stuff, because I don't really like that. What it looks like with this whole Delta variant is, I know they were saying that they want to reopen California, and we were supposedly reopened, but now the Delta variant might. And here's some interesting data that I read in an article out of Israel, is that there were people that were fully vaccinated and they still were infected with like new I'm not sure which variant was in Israel, but they were still infected. So it's just like, it's funny because they said, oh, we're gonna open now and you don't have to wear a mask with each other in public inside buildings. So I thought, oh, that's okay, we're a go. But then I think people are getting confused, because every day, like, I get it, science evolves, but when you keep changing things every few days, people get confused. So, I mean, how do I feel about the vaccine? I mean, I got all my vaccinations. In general, I guess it's okay. I mean, I'm usually pro-vaccine, but I'm not pro-mandatory vaccine. Does that make any sense? Like, I don't think there should be a mandate that requires everybody to get a vaccine. And you just shouldn't have to show your vaccine card. And it's kind of uncomfortable when people flash a vaccine card, because I don't need to know that. Like, I don't think it's something you should be carrying around with you. Like, just keep it at your house. You don't need to carry it around and flash it. And it's just weird, and you don't need to post it on social media. Like, that's identity theft. Like, you're opening because it has your birth date, okay? It has the place you got the vaccine. It has your full name. And people have this as a public image. I don't know what they're trying to say. I mean, when you were 5 years old, your mom didn't share your vaccination card with the neighborhood. It just feels kind of weird. I still see, that's another trending thing. Like, I feel like I don't get up on trends, and I don't think any vaccine should be mandatory, because there's gonna always be people that don't want to take it, and you need to respect that. And it's not your business. They like try and figure out why they don't want a vaccine, but some people just don't. I'm not, like, look, I still hesitated. I got the vaccine, but we do need to see what the long-term effect is, okay? If it turns out, I mean, I'm hoping for the best, right? I'm not going to try and be negative Nelly. Like, I'm hoping that, that the vaccines we have in California are going to be okay against this new Delta variant. Like, I'm going to hope for that, right? But it is concerning that in LA County already, like, they're having a surge in the Delta variant. Like, some people that were vaccinated have been infected. So, and, vaccination doesn't mean you're not going to get it. So I'm not anti-vax or anything like that. I just don't like it when they tell everybody that they have to get a vaccination. I don't agree with that. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, I guess I'm okay with how I got the vaccination, because I've always gotten all my vaccinations. I've never been anti-vaccination for myself, but I do like to be prudent when it's a new vaccine, and this is an evolving virus that has many variants. Like, I don't want to say, oh, well, I just think we need to wait and see what happens. So I want to hope for the best, but I want to keep reading things and having an open mind. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, like, that's, you have to kind of sometimes look beyond what they say on a news broadcast too. You have to do more research, because there are people that have died from the vaccine, and that's true. That's not a lie. Like, I don't know. I tried to tell my mom about this, and she's like, no, that didn't happen. But yes, it did happen in some cases, but it's happened with every vaccination, okay? There's people that have died from many different types of vaccine. I mean, there were people that died from the smallpox vaccine. So, I mean, science is always evolving. I'm not anti-vax. I went ahead and I got my vaccine. I got it pretty early, actually, back in March, okay? So, yeah, I started early on. I got it. Did I have some concerns? Yes, because you should question things and you should keep an open mind. So, I know some people, they're not going to get the vaccine, and that's okay. I support them, okay? You know why? Because if people got vaccinated, that should protect us. And I think just pushing people or bullying people or asking them if they got the vaccine, you don't even have the right to do that. Some people got mad at me, I think, or somebody unfollowed my channel because I said that, but it's true. You don't have the right to ask anybody their personal health information, right? Even if it's about COVID, you don't get to ask them if they've been vaccinated or not. Some people don't want to tell you that. Even if they've been vaccinated, some people don't want to share that with you. And it's kind of weird that people assume, like, I think the people that post their vaccine cards, maybe they think everybody else, like, if you have that presumption that everybody else wants to share their personal health information with the public, maybe they don't. So I say if somebody does that to you, just go quiet on your Western Front. Like, what do I mean by that? Just don't say anything to them. Like, I would just let silence speak, because some people do not want to share their personal health information with you. That's all. And you might not like it, but that's the truth, You can't make somebody share their personal health information with you. If they feel uncomfortable or they, like, look, I do try to follow the science. I do think in general most vaccinations have been a good thing in the course of human history. Have they improved human life overall? Yes. Do I have some concerns about how rapidly COVID spread? Does it look like maybe there was some mishandling of that and it could have started in the lab? There's some research that points to that, and that wasn't just like a conspiracy theory. Like, there was a lot of worldwide evidence that pointed to that. So I know, like, some newscasts like MSNBC, they like to say, well, that's all conspiracy theory, but then this year they started looking into it. And you know, the thing is, I didn't vote for Trump. I had never even heard of QAnon. I want to tell you that right now. Like, it's funny because, like, there will be people I know that follow the really, like, mainstream news broadcasts, and they keep talking about QAnon, and I'm like, that's interesting. I have never went on that. Do you know the news sensationalizes things? Like, this was another thing I didn't know about until I talked to my mom about it. She said, did you know they're having mass burnings, and people are having mass burnings, and they're burning their mask like a draft card or like a bra? And I'm like, that's Lulu. I don't think most people are doing that. And I'm out in the public every day, and I haven't seen anybody having a big masky mask bonfire. That's a sensational story where some Yahoo idiots, by the way, there are toxic fumes in a mask if it's a paper one. You know, the elastic on the mask. It's not like completely caught on your, don't know if you burn that. So if you want to inhalate toxic fumes by having a masky mask burning party, that's weird. I don't think most people are doing that. And if somebody did that because they're yahoos, they want to be on the news. That doesn't. So it's just funny because I had to explain to my mom. I said, you know what? People aren't doing that. I said, I don't know anybody that's doing that. I think people don't want to wear the mask. Because here's another thing too. A lot of people I know, like, they like wearing the mask now. And it's like a psychological thing. If you've taken off your mask because you're fully vaccinated, which I tried doing, by the way, but then I got some weird looks and comments, even though other people did it too. Like, people just looked at you, but Fauci said, oh, if you're vaccinated, you can take off your mask. So we did, okay? And we got some, like, dirty looks, comments, even though the science said you could do it now. But I don't know, they might walk that back next week. So anyway, I am not anti-science. I believe in science. I follow the science, but you do have to kind of look a little bit beyond. Like, there's a lot of scientific research on various topics. I'm just saying. Like, so I don't follow conspiracy theory boards. I don't know anything about them, but I feel like it's interesting that liberal news outlets seem to know more about them than I do, because I don't spend my day reading them. I look up articles and things that are scientific, and that's about it. Like, I don't see, you know, do your own research. Please do. I think it's so weird that a health issue has been politicized. Yeah. And people are like, oh, well, this is like, I don't agree with the conservatives or the liberals who, like, make it cookie cutter. Like, I feel like both sides have made it a cookie cutter debate. And I don't want your cookie cutter, okay? It's like if you tried to give me an elephant cookie cutter or a donkey cookie cutter and you said, that's the best way to make a cookie. Maybe there's more nuance. Maybe I don't want a cookie from either branch, you know? Like, it's weird. It's a health issue. It shouldn't be political. We should all try to be careful, but we also should, like, keep an eye on the science and, like, an open mind, and not just, like, sometimes there are things being shared on social media by doctors or people working in hospitals, and that is not, this is just so nuanced, so it's not really a hair topic, but just living in California, being the epicenter of what was COVID with a population that's been, like, no, India's got more people, so I'm not going to say that. Like, India has far more people, okay, than California. But here's the thing that really bothers me that nobody really talks about with the whole COVID thing. Okay, we know that COVID did start in China, okay? But the Chinese government wasn't honest with how many people got COVID. And then they keep saying, oh, well, Asian countries have done such a good, like, job of controlling the virus. But we really don't know that for sure because China is very tight. And then they have written some really disgusting things about India, like saying that, like, about how Indians controlled. But India has more of an open media. So we're going to get more accurate information from what's coming out of India with the numbers of people passing away with COVID than in China, okay? California, India, UK, we're gonna be honest and transparent about how many people pass away. China's not going to be, okay? They're just not gonna tell you that. Because it's a, look, did they tell you about what's happening to the Uyghurs right now in China? As we speak, the Uyghurs are in concentration camps. Is China gonna be honest that they sent their Muslim population to concentration re-education camps? They've done it before, Great Leap Forward, Cultural Revolution. And I love Chinese culture and civilization. I think Chinese culture and civilization is beautiful. I don't really like communist regimes, and I don't like any kind of totalitarianism that tries to stop the spread of information, you know? And I have become more aware of these things over time. Like, I always studied history, but I just started to realize, oh, like, maybe you need to look beyond things. So I think sometimes people don't like things I talk about on this channel, because when I do talk, I talk about other topics besides. Like, I look beyond, like, I look deeper into things, and people just sometimes accept a surface argument. They don't look into things, they don't dig a little bit deeper. But yes, the COVID situation is so much more complex than what you're being like presented with on a day-to-day basis. Or what you get is a sensationalized story about people burning masks, and most people aren't doing that. Most people are just living their daily lives, and maybe they don't want to wear the mask all the time. And I know people, they like wearing a mask because they said it makes them feel more comfortable. But here's the thing. The people who didn't want to wear masks, well, they don't feel comfortable. And we didn't wear masks throughout the history of the world, and now people are acting like, I don't know, I keep hearing people say, but this is just a pandemic, it's just a small time in history. But some people, okay, some people, they don't feel comfortable covering their face, and I don't think that makes them a selfish person. I can see the other side of the story, the equation, I guess because I've worked with a mask on, and if we have to wear a mask, I'll wear it. But yeah, it's not easy and it's not comfortable, so maybe you should have more compassion. And maybe you should understand why people don't always want to wear it. And at the end of the day, I knew people that wore the mask and social distance, and they still got COVID. So it's hard to say. Like, it's really hard to say. But I'm going to leave it at that, because everybody's so, like, charged on this topic, and they think their political party is more saintly. Democrats, you're not better than Republicans. Republicans, you're not better than Democrats. I want you guys to maybe stop thinking politically. We don't want people to get sick. You should be friends with your neighbors. If your neighbor says something on social media you don't like, rather than block them, why don't you have a dialogue with them where you don't call them a four-letter word? Democrat? I was a former Democrat, so I feel like I can talk to people like this about that, you know? Like, I don't know. Don't call people names. It's not cute. I just get tired of it, and that's why sometimes people don't like my ranty posts, but I went from here to this. But yeah, that's just what's on my mind. So I'm actually glad I talked about it, because I'm like, yeah, I think people aren't paying attention to what's really going on sometimes, and you do need to read news articles. You do need to look at what's going on social media. You do need to do deep dives on topics. A deep dive. You can't just watch the news segment and be like, oh, I know everything about it now. You need to do research. And I'm not talking about some shady, dodgy QAnon garbage. I don't know anybody who goes on that. I don't know anybody who voted for Trump. So if that's what you think, you're wrong on so many levels. I just don't buy the two. I don't subscribe to divide and conquer politics. I look into an issue much more deeply, and maybe you should too. Anyway, thanks for watching.